guys, this is Colin from Blackjack Apprenticeship, and I am joined with Joe748, if that's your real name. How's it going, Joe?
That's kind of not my real name. It's going good.
Good. When were you last in a casino?
2 weekends ago, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just needed a place to stay for the night.
How's the buffet?
Closed.
Oh,
like many of them.
Of course. Yeah, that shows how long it's been since I've been in a casino. No,
that's the real pandemic, the closure of all buffets nationwide.
Oh, man. Probably a lot better for people's health having those casino buffets closed.
Yeah, think of how many lives have been saved, actually, by closing all the buffets across the world.
Oh, boy. But there's some Vegas buffets that are pretty amazing. I don't know if you've hit them up.
I'm kind of sad that I haven't been to like a strip buffet, because on the strip I can usually never manage to make it more than an hour or so before I have to leave. So yeah,
some of those off strip buffets are pretty good, but that's not why we're here. People don't want to hear about the buffets. First off, if people haven't figured it out, Joe748 is kind of the new unofficial or official co-host of the podcast. Is that okay to say?
Yeah. Put it on my resume.
And it's coming full circle, because you let me know a while ago that when you were a kid, your goal was to be a talk show host.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. 12 years old, that was the dream.
And the modern equivalent is the podcast host. So.
The BJA podcast.
Yeah. But we're not doing the podcast on YouTube like Joe Rogan or whatever. People are going to have to listen, because you're not going to see Joe748's real face. Good try, casinos.
Yes.
So we are here to talk about some blackjack stuff. Our last podcast was with the guy that was responsible for backing off advanced players at casino, and people really loved that. And we don't have a cool guest like that for this one, but I think we have some interesting stuff to talk about. I wanted to start off with, there's this article I read. Arnold Snyder mentions it in his book, Radical Blackjack, that came out a few months ago. And he's got all sorts of links to content from over the years. And one of them is this interview with a guy that was with Ed Thorpe. Ed Thorpe is the first guy to write about card counting. And this guy was with Ed Thorpe when he was trying it out in Vegas. Did you read this article?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just kind of like spurred all these thoughts for me that I thought would be fun to talk about. So the backstory is Ed Thorpe, figures out card counting, and he wants to verify it. And he actually gets someone to bank him, and they have a $20,000 bankroll. And then he brings these two guys with him to Vegas to try it all out. And the first thing that stood out to me was this $20K bankroll, because this is in the 60s. And, one of the things that people say is like, oh, with back in the good old days, you didn't need the huge bankroll requirement, but $20K is the modern equivalent of $100,000. Does that mean they needed $20K? No, but it's not like they were going in there with $100 and just printing money. What kind of bankroll did you start with?
First 5, and then restarted with about 10.
Okay. Yeah.
Not to $5. 10,000.
And what happened with that first 5 for those?
Lost it fairly quickly. Yeah.
And why was that?
I was betting 2 by 500 with a $5,000 bankroll because of some documentaries I saw. People betting 2 by 500. And I thought that's just what you do.
If the people in Holy Rollers are betting 2 by 500, then that's what you do.
Yeah.
So you essentially had 5 top bets for your bankroll.
Yeah. Now that you put it that way, a little risky.
A little, I've had shoes or I've had rounds where I've lost that many top bets.
Yeah. And it wasn't like I was like, well, I have a replenishable bankroll and I'm just going to see how it goes. No, it wasn't anything like that. I didn't have that information, or I didn't study that information enough. It was more just like, I should be good with this. Like, high count, true 4, 5, 6. I mean, gonna win more than half of those, so it should be fine.
Yeah,
didn't happen.
But then there's this little thing called variance.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't know, what stood out to me is that it really isn't that different. You know, they probably could have gotten by with a $1,000 bankroll, which would have been the equivalent of a $5,000 bankroll today, but they would have had to bet really small. The risk would have been high. If you want to really have a good shot, you need more bets than that. And these guys wanted to really prove it. And so, yeah, if someone was trying to prove card counting today that it was like, you know, you could generate good EV, you'd probably want a 100K bankroll to prove that. Do you need 100K? No, but I just thought that was interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about the confidence that was required to just plop down 100K on this experiment where no one has done it yet. It's just like, whoa,
yeah,
like that's kind of I mean, how many of us would just throw in 100,000 together to just try something that no one's done before?
Totally.
That's pretty cool that they had
the cojones to like put together the equivalent of 100K to
right, prove. For something with such a small edge too. It's not like they went into it like, yeah, we got a 50% edge on this, let's just go for it. Like this was still, 1 to 3% edge. Like, so.
Yeah. They had no betting software, but they still somehow, figured out, I'm sure they knew their edge, which, that kind of brings me to another thing that stood out to me. I actually was talking with a guy, he's a BJA member, but he was counting cards in the 70s, and he was saying, oh, well, back then I had a 4% edge. And I'm thinking like, oh, that's incredible, a 4% edge. But, back then they didn't, it's a 4% edge in theory. It's not a 4% edge in reality for a few reasons we'll get into. But one is the game wasn't proven, they didn't have, well-known indices or ways to calculate their risk. And so a 4% edge, best case scenario, there's no training software or anything like that. But then I wanted to talk a bit about the cheating. So I mentioned that they had 3 people at Thorpe and 2 other guys. And one of the guys was there full time just to watch the dealer to see if they were cheating. When you go out and play blackjack, do you have someone with you that is trained specifically to spot cheating?
I wish I did, or at least someone there to throw off some heat or anything like that. But yeah, no, I never worry about cheating in this modern day, even at pitch games or anything like that.
Yeah, there's every once in a while a discussion where people are wondering if they're being cheated. To be honest, I don't think I've ever worried about it. I don't think I've ever been cheated. But in this article, we'll put the link in the show notes or something, but in this article, it's pretty much every casino that they start playing, and then either the dealer is doing like the Texas 2-step or, dealing from the bottom of the deck, or they have a guy that like sits at the table to like somehow collude with the dealer to cheat the other players. It's absolutely crazy. And so this 4% edge is actually negative EV at most tables because they're getting cheated. And that I don't know, that stood out to me because I think it's easy to dream about these single deck games that were so beatable back then, but it wasn't as beatable as, maybe we think it was.
Yeah. And it's just crazy because it's like, think about some of these techniques that they were using. It just seems like it would take so many hours of practice to pull it off for the cheating dealer. And it's like, are these dealers, like, where are these dealers practicing this? Like, are they just at home, like practicing all these, like, because Arnold Snyder listed off, like, wasn't it like 10 different ways of cheating or something like that? Or 5 major ways of just something, but it just, the mechanic work they would have to spend a significant amount of time crafting this skill of cheating. Yeah. It's just interesting. Like,
there's that guy, Jason England. He did a demonstration at a boot camp. It was like the 10-year anniversary party that we that we had. And before that, he had me over to his house and showed me, all these cheating techniques. And I was asking him, how long does it take? Like, he told me he was going to deal seconds, and I still didn't see it when he was doing it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how long does this take? He's like, well, 200 hours to do it poorly. But the guys that can do it well, is like, that's incredible that someone would spend, whatever, 400 or 500 hours perfecting dealing seconds. But I think it was more that casinos maybe had a guy that could do this when,
right.
when there was someone that they wanted to, someone they wanted to cheat, they'd pull in that guy. But there were some sloppy ones. Like, they told the story of a dealer. They saw him arranging the cards on his way to the table. So he shows up with a deck of cards that he's already arranged. That's like every other card is going to be, a high card. So he can choose, whether he takes the card or not. But some of it was super sloppy, but regardless, like, they basically had to leave Vegas because they couldn't find an honest game. So when we're complaining about card counting in 2021, at least we're not worried about every dealer, being a mechanic cheating us, which brings me to the next point. We also don't have to worry about getting beaten up. Back then, like, there was no legal precedent of if card counting was legal or not legal. And these guys legitimately had to worry about this stuff, which is pretty mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, I know a guy who was playing in those days, and it was just like a regular thing, like where like his friend would get thrown down the stairs, or like, just crazy stuff that would never. Well, if it did happen today, I mean, you would get probably $1 million settlement or something or more out of that. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone that's been thrown down the stairs or anything like that, but I do know people, if they're even just like detained against their will, it's a serious lawsuit. So another reason why I'm not dreaming of, card counting in the early days. And this BJA member that I talked to that was counting back then, he was like, I made good money, but then I was backed off everywhere in Vegas, and so I had to retire from card counting. I'm not trying to say it's, perfect today. It's hard. Like, it's hard work, and if you burn out your local casinos, then you got to travel or whatever. But it was interesting reading this and just seeing how it wasn't all, rosy and rainbows back then. It also reminded me of Tommy Highland talking about card counting in Atlantic City when they were first doing it. And it's like, oh yeah, well, we'd get backed off, we'd go back, we'd get trespassed, we'd go back, we'd spend the night in jail. And it's like, wait, what? And he's like, oh yeah, they'd arrest us, but so we just spend the night in jail, and then we go back, and it would happen again. Like, a regular part of the job was, because they only had so many casinos on the East Coast, they just go back and get arrested for trespassing and go back and do it over and over again. But now we just have other casinos to go to.
Yeah. I mean, that's what was so cool about that team spirit back then, was just like, hey, we know what you guys are doing is wrong. Like, we have the right to play, and we're going to do it. And they just kind of just forced themselves into playing as much as they wanted to. And then the law got changed eventually. So it's just like, wow. I mean, that's pretty cool. That they stuck to that. But also another point was, imagine, where it was only like Vegas and Atlantic City to play. Imagine if you started your career and you started off how some of us do, where we start off on a losing streak, and then you end up, you're toast in the town. Like the two places to play, and it's like, oh,
that's right. You're just done.
Never have time to get it back.
Yeah. It was interesting hearing some of the numbers too. They're playing $1 tables, which is kind of the modern equivalent of probably a $10 table or whatever. But they're talking about these like feel like really small swings, but it's not really the same today. But you did a really interesting thing. I don't know if people can see it, but you converted their entire trip, because they share all the numbers. You converted it to a chart. Do you want to share about that?
Yeah, it's I just did the modern day equivalent of the swings that they had on this one trip, and looking at the ups and downs of it. I mean, first they kind of go it's your standard ups and downs, but they're going a pretty high, like winning streak for a while, and then it just plummets down towards the last tail end of the trip, back down to probably what looks like most likely their actual EV they earned for the hours they played, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It looks normal to me.
When you factor in all the cheating, probably was their EV.
Right.
And there'd be pit bosses that are freaking out because they're up $180.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like they got up to about around 45,000 or so they won. And then by the end of the trip,
modern day.
Yeah. Money. Modern day equivalent. And then by the end of the trip, they left with like 7,000 or so in profits, or a little bit less, but
yeah. Well, they should have quit when they were up 45,000.
Yeah.
I'm joking. For those who don't know, I'm joking. They kept generating EV. They did the right thing.
Hey, think about that though. If you did take that gambler advice of like, why don't you quit when you're ahead 45,000? And Ed Thorpe, hey, quit while you're ahead. He quits while he's ahead 45,000. He never goes on to make billions of stock market.
That's true. Yeah, the way he approaches. He says like the way he approached, the hedge funds he ran were lessons he learned from card counting, which is pretty cool. I think the last thing that stood out to me is they tell this story about the El Cortez, and it's just like, holy crap, this place is old. Like a sweatshop and
it's never changed.
Years. So yeah, if you want to get backed off where Ed Thorpe played, you can go there and play for 5 minutes and get backed off from where Ed Thorpe has played.
Yeah. Some other interesting things about the article was like how Snyder talked about the gaming commission. They were like adding the 4, 6, and 8 deck shoes. I thought was always only because like to increase the casino's profit and also increase or decrease the player's edge. But he said that a lot of it was to prevent dealers from cheating so much, because that started to become a problem, that the gaming commission had to keep coming in and investigate all these cheating dealers. So then they added the 6 and 8 deck games partially. And it sounded like his opinion was a majority of the reason was for that reason, was to prevent the cheating.
Yeah. That's really fascinating. They couldn't control the order of the cards dealing out of a shoe.
Yeah.
And so maybe, there's some reasons we should be thankful. I don't know if the cheating would still be as rampant, but that's really interesting.
Something that was weird was like, if they're cheating all these like players betting huge, like, but were they just cheating? Were the dealers just cheating the non-tipping players? Like, why would you want to screw over someone who's tipping you a lot? Like a big gambler or something.
Yeah, I wonder how that worked. Did they share the money with the mechanic? Like, hey, you're going to get a raise. But I don't. I guess the casinos are still short-sighted. But I imagine they were just short-sighted, and they're not thinking about, hey, this gambler, they could be a long-term customer. It's just like, how do we literally rip them off as quickly as possible? And that's still Vegas, not literally cheating people. But I think they're doing the same thing with these crappy games. The rules on the strip have gotten so bad, and I think it's for the same reason. It's like, we don't want a long-term customer. We just want to, get as much money out of someone as quickly as possible. And I think it's similarly probably costing them long-term profits, or that, at least that's what Andy Yule would say.
Yeah, and this is like also like sort of that mob run mentality where it's like they don't have like the business savvy or the foresight now, where all these corporations running casinos, where they're like, no, we have to, for the high roller players, we have to decrease the edge a little bit so they'll continue to stay and want to stay and keep coming back. If you just rip off, a big high roller, why is he going to want to come back to you over and over again? Like, thinking long term is not a mob run casino mentality.
Yeah. One of the best things a casino can do for a big, a whale is let them win. Not like if someone wins a large amount, that's dopamine that's going to get them to keep coming back.
Yeah.
And I think they get it most of the time, but man, I've heard a lot of stories recently of just like I got a message from a guy, and he's like, "Hey, I want to work with you." I sent this to you, Joe748. But this guy's like, "I want to work with you. I don't count cards, but I do pretty well." He's like, "But I keep getting kicked out." And I was like, "Wait, you're not, using any form of advantage play?" He's like, "No, I just do well, and then I get kicked out." And I'm like, these casinos are so dumb that they're throwing this guy out. They'll get their money back if they just welcome him back with open arms. But there's still some of that old school mentality of throw someone out if they're winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's weird. It's like when the casinos suspect something is going on, they think that the player is just going to have 100% edge for hours and hours. It's like, no, it doesn't really work that way. Like,
yeah, they need a little better training, but it's not going to come from us because we're here to help you guys, the advantage player. So I thought the article was interesting. I don't know if you found it as interesting as I did, Joe748.
Yeah, I mean, it's made me thankful that we don't have that cheating going on anymore.
Seriously. I mean, that would be the majority of the it's like, okay, learn card counting. Okay, now spend as much time or more learning how to spot a cheating dealer. Like, that sounds miserable.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to get to on this podcast just some things that I've been thinking about over the last few months that I've actually learned from Blackjack Apprenticeship, from the members. I'm thankful that I get to teach people the things that I've learned from my time as a card counter, but I want to be a continual learner. And there's some things that I think everybody could learn from that I wanted to share that I've learned over the years, starting with killing the inner ploppy. Do you know who I heard this phrase from? Can you guess?
Sounds like maybe Grease Monkey.
Oh, no, that's a good guess. But no, actually Sassy Red.
Oh, okay, cool.
So she started out as a gambler, and you played blackjack before you were an AP, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember having like ploppy logic?
Let's see. No, actually, I didn't. I came into it very well knowing I had no clue what I was doing, and the most of it was just listening to my friend who knew a little bit more about basic strategy than I did, and just sticking to that. And I didn't change. I didn't like go on a hunch or anything. I just, what am I supposed to do in this situation? What do I do in this? Like I was,
What was he advising you, like when you need to, take the dealer's card, or if you screwed up and took the dealer's card or anything like that? Like any of the ploppy things?
No, luckily, no, he wasn't too much. He was just like, no, you're supposed to split that. And it's like,
okay.
Yeah, you're still supposed to do that, like regardless of the loss. But
so when you started, going down the card counting path, was there a lot of, a lot you had to kind of think through or change in your thinking? Or was it like, oh, I know I was just like trying to play blackjack well before, but now I'm going to do it this way. There wasn't a lot of inner turmoil or anything of killing the inner ploppy, so to speak.
Right. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's why it worked for me a lot, like starting off, because I was just like, you know what? I'm not smarter than the computer and these guys who created a system, and I'm not going to like just come up with my own stuff. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think at the beginning I was like, the only thing I was questioning was like, why did I lose my bankroll at the beginning when I had a true 4, 5, or 6 and I was betting these bets? Like that was the only thing I was wondering about. But yeah, I didn't have that propensity to like sneak in an extra, I don't know. Yeah, like bet when I wasn't supposed to or anything like that.
Yeah. So this idea of killing the inner ploppy, it was really interesting to me. I had never even been into a casino until, I'd read Professional Blackjack and spent some time practicing. And so I didn't have any bad habits. But what Sassy Red talks about killing the inner ploppy, I think that this applies to quite a few people that get into card counting because they start out as just gamblers, and the shift can be really, I think, jarring. To say I have to play this certain way, or I have to sit out certain times, or I have to push these bets out, even though I just lost the last 5 hands in a row. Or the pressure from the dealer or the other players at the table. Like, there's a million things that when you're a gambler, you don't have to do, and you actually get positive reinforcement for playing poorly or acting, like a ploppy. But you have to get over that stuff. And I think that's something, now hearing it enough, I can understand, like, okay, so for some people, the first step to becoming a card counter is like putting to death the old way of thinking and doing things. And that's maybe easier said than done.
Yeah. I mean, and since we're only winning 51, % of the time, basically, I could see how you could come up with so many theories, everything, including like cheating or whatever. You'd be like, wow, what this is happening, or like, with the swings that come with this game, it's such a small edge. I can totally see how you can create your own stories, like trying to figure out your chart and what's happening.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this. I can see it on people's faces at a boot camp, like the inner turmoil when I'm telling them that they have to act a different way, and I'm like, oh, this guy gambles, It's like what I'm thinking. Okay, this person has a history of being a ploppy, and they're having inner turmoil in that it's not just like, oh, how do I make money while being a ploppy? It's like, oh, I have to put to death ploppy ways to have this work. And it could be really, I think, uncomfortable for people, but you got to do it. So thank you, Sassy Red, for teaching me about killing the inner ploppy. So the next thing I wanted to share, do you know? Well, the next thing I want to share is the variance monster. Do you know who quoted the variance monster?
I'm just going to guess on all these and then get it wrong every single time.
Sounds good.
I'm going to say ST1.
Oh, good guess. I thought you were going to guess Grease Monkey on all of them. So this idea came from Snarky Sparky, and he, if you remember, you got to read this forum thread. It's in our best discussions thread on the forum, but he kind of explains mathematically and very clearly just how great variance can be, both positive and negative. And you'd think, oh, Colin, you played, I've played thousands of hours of blackjack. I've run teams responsible for tens of thousands of hours of blackjack. So you would think that I would get it. But when you're just living it, you're not really, you still expect variance to not be so large. We talk about N0, and the reality is, after N0 number of hours, let's say it's 200 hours, there's still was it 1 in 6 card counters is still going to be in the negative, and that sounds awful, but that's just how much variance is in the game. But the flip side is 1 in 6 card counters is going to be more than 1 standard deviation above EV. There's just crazy winning streaks, crazy losing streaks. Do you know anything about variance, Joe? 748?
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of it is just how your brain chooses to hang on to the losing streaks more than the winning ones. And I just remember kind of starting off early. I was betting like 2 by 400 or 2 by 500 or something, like losing for like 200 hours and then getting it back. And then it just like for the next, 100 hours or so, or 150 hours, it was just, I won just so much. And it just felt like I was waiting at any moment. I was like, when is it going to start going down again for another 100 hours or so? And it just never happened. It just kept going up and up. And it was just like an amazing streak. It just felt like every session, I just saw it was like a great session. I mean, it came to an end eventually, but it lasted a lot longer than I thought it was because I was just so used to the losing side of it and not remembering all those times I won, was having those winning streaks. So, yeah.
There's something about card counting that, a gambler expects, yeah, the house has the edge. I mean, unless you're a total idiot, you understand the house has the edge. And so when you win, it's thrilling. You're overcoming the odds. And when you lose, it's disappointing, but it's like, yeah, well, for a card counter, there's this weird thing where we know we have the edge, so we expect to win. So when you're winning, I mean, I went on a winning streak that was just insane. Probably a year into my career, maybe a little less than a year. I mean, I had losing sessions, but I'm sure I was way above EV. But it wasn't like incredibly thrilling. It was like, oh, hey, I'm winning. This feels good. But then losing is just soul crushing because it's like, I have the edge. How could I lose? But that's, I guess, for me, why it was helpful. Yeah, I knew there's variance in this game, and I think in one sense we always expected it, but to kind of see it explained well is I mean, it's imperative to not just constantly be shocked by this game.
Yeah, and then if you're doing it for for work or it's your income, it feels like when you're losing, it's like, oh, you're taking my paycheck away from me, and like you're taking my income away. It's like, why is this happening? And then when you win, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, this is my income. This is what I deserve. This is what I'm working for. So yeah, it's not that same. It's a different kind of thrill versus if you're just a ploppy playing and you're winning versus doing it for a living.
Yeah, and that's where I've done it for a living, both playing and, running a team. I only got paid when we won. But I still think, even if you're doing it for a living, I still think that considering it investing is the best way to think about it. It's like, oh, I'm not working a job right now because I'm investing full time. I think that's helpful because with investments, any investment is completely unsure in the short term. If someone says it's a sure investment, well, then I wouldn't trust them. I would run from that investment. But, if you're investing full time, it's like, yeah, there's going to be swings, but I'm going to see this through because I believe it's a better use of my time. But yeah, when it's like, oh, this is my job, you expect a paycheck, and there's no, it's a completely random timeline for when you're going to get paid doing this. There are forms of advantage play that have less variance, but they all do. Like I remember JC Note talking about hole carding. It's like, I've got a 14% edge. How could the dealer keep making their hand when I know both of their cards? But all of them have some variance, and there's forms of advantage play with more variance than card counting. Absolutely. Like there are a lot of poker pros that have losing years regularly.
Poker's brutal, yeah.
But at least know what you're signing up for. So thanks, Snarky Sparky. The third thing I want to talk with Joe748 about that I've learned from BJ members over the years is that it's still possible to take 100,000 from a single casino. So people they're always asking questions like this. Oh, can you still make $1 million? Can you still beat one casino for 100,000? And if you would have asked me either of those questions 5 years ago, I'd say no, it's not possible anymore. But over the last 5 years, I've met card counters that have done both of these things. Taken $1 million from casinos and taken single casino. I mean, multiple people that I know have done this. And to me, it's showing people are still, with this job, you have to have a level of optimism that you're going to try it. You don't want to have your head in the clouds, but a level of optimism to say, who knows if it's possible? Let's find out. Can you think of anybody that's done this, taken a single casino for 100K or more?
Well, yeah. And the people I've heard recently who have done it, the thing that's stood out to me was they weren't betting huge. Like some of them weren't betting, like I was betting 2 by 1,000 or more than that, like 2 by 1,500. Like they weren't betting that much. Like they were betting 2 by 300 or 2 by 400, and they were still able to accomplish that, which is super cool. But maybe that's why they were able to accomplish it as well. Maybe they wouldn't have been able to sneak in the hours over a long period of time, like with 2x1000, like maybe they would have been seen too early or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about my own career, and I've said before, I was incredibly lucky to be in Washington State at the time that I was. There's a ton of casinos, and some of them were just not very smart. Washington State's still not bad for card counting, but my point is, I don't think we were very thoughtful. We just went in and we counted, and whatever happened, happened. I think some of the people that are having this kind of success, I'm not talking about someone that just is like over betting and gets lucky and is up 100K. I'm talking about someone that strategically beats a casino. They're being thoughtful about it. Like you said, they have a well considered approach. I'm thinking about JC Rocks 111. He shared that on a podcast. And you're right. He wasn't betting huge, but he had a well thought out plan of attack. And, he could have gotten backed off the first weekend, but he didn't, and he kept going. I don't want to share your stories. Did you guys beat that one casino for 100K?
Yeah. It was multiple people doing it, but it was done in such a quick amount of time. It was like 3 weeks. But there was another place it was just me, and I was able to do almost about 90,000 from one place. Okay. But that was in about a month or so. Yeah. So as well. Yeah.
And there's other people too that have done. Now, here's I guess the caveat I'll say is, the people we interview, I try to, share interesting stories, but I think that sometimes it can get the rap of I'm portraying that everybody is going to be $1 million card counter and everybody's going to beat a casino for 100K. I've never beat a casino for 100K. I've never beat a single. Oh, actually, that's not true. No, I did. I forgot about that. I did beat a local casino for 150K.
So you don't even remember. Yeah. That's the card counter mindset.
It is. It's the card counting curse. Yeah, I do remember vividly my biggest losses. But okay, so I guess I have. But I'm not saying everyone's going to do this. It is rare. But I wouldn't have even thought it was possible if someone would have asked me this a couple of years ago. And so I don't know. I guess this stuff inspires me. Some of these podcasts or these stories, I'm not trying to say learn card counting and you're going to do this at all. I get inspired by this stuff. I hear about someone, having a great story, and it's like, this is badass. I want to hear the story and I want to share it. So your mileage may vary, I'll say.
But and real quick, also the people who have done this, I've noticed they still have the spirit and the energy to be like, I'm going to do this. Like, I am going to try this, and I'm going to keep doing it and keep showing up. And they're not afraid. Like the people who we don't hear from are some of the people that when I talk to them before they start off, they're afraid of getting backed up. They're afraid of everything, they're really afraid of everything. So they just never try to see if they can take the 100K out of their local place or whatever.
That's true.
Yeah. Cut sessions like way too short. And some of these people had the strategy of, and you need to at your local cut them short, but not that short, like not to the point where they're doing it and they're paranoid about everything. So these people all shared a similar spirit of, I'm doing this, like I'm going to really go for it.
I was interviewed recently by Mike AP for his podcast, and a little podcast crossover, I guess. One of the questions that someone asked me is kind of like what personality seems to, have success with this. And the way I thought about it on the spot there was you have to have, like, you can't be overly optimistic, because there's a lot of people who are like, Joe748 or Yoshi, beat casinos for $1 million. I'm going to learn card counting and be a millionaire next year. Like, that person's not going to make it. But you do have to have a level of optimism. Like, the pessimist also isn't going to make it. The person that's, like you said, always afraid of the back off, or afraid of losing, or they go on a 1 session losing streak and they're like, oh, great, how long is it going to be till I'm ahead again? That there is something that the people that have success, I guess how you put it, that they have some sort of like optimism or drive to go for it. The fire that Loudon often talks about, there is this fire that you need. And if you lose that fire, you can still count cards, but you're probably not going to beat a single casino for 6 figures. Good stuff. Let's move on to the next thing I've learned from BJA members, which is the variety of ways casinos can be beaten. And as I was thinking about this, I wanted to share, do you know my first advantage play thing outside of card counting I ever did in a casino?
I'm trying to remember. Is it dumpster dive for juices?
No. I mean, this is a casino advantage play, but it wasn't card counting. But yes, I did used to dumpster dive the Naked Juice factory right next to the climbing gym we went to, and get all their juices that they were discarding, that most of them hadn't even expired. So it wasn't gross, but it was awesome. But no, the first thing I did at a casino that wasn't card counting, that was advantage play.
I don't remember. What was that?
It was Halloween costumes.
Oh, nice.
So me, Ben, and a third friend, Halloween was coming up, and all these casinos had prizes for the best costume. So we all came up with kind of like ridiculous costumes and split up going to different casinos, and we split the money. We all won an award.
Nice. Wow.
I think at Ben's casino, I think he got first place, and it was like $500 or $1,000. And I got second place. I felt like I got shafted, because they gave first place to someone dressed as a clown, and it wasn't even
what,
but it was like,
what were you?
I was a piñata. So I had a giant box.
Did you have casino staff chase you with a baseball bat and try to beat you?
I had candy literally like super glued pouring out of me.
Nice.
It was pretty good, and I think I made it for like $20, maybe probably less. But they gave it to this clown that was like the casino local, degenerate. But still, for second place, I won like $250 or something like that. And I guess my point is, I was there, I was counting cards, but gosh, we must have made, I don't know, over $100 an hour, just based off of our costumes. So
awesome.
Other than that, I've done a few other things. I've done a very small amount of hole carding, beaten some casino promotions, some things like that. But, one of the things that's been fun to learn through Blackjack Apprenticeship is, like I said, the variety of ways. We weren't so well networked, even running $1 million blackjack team. Most of the people we knew were card counting, and still most of the people I know making money are card counting. But it's been fun to learn people that have done it all, like sequencing, shuffle tracking, loss rebates. Oh, I guess we did a little bit of loss rebate stuff, but doing that on like serious scale, like very serious scale, hole carding, beating casino promotions, beating machine. It's really cool to see the creativity that people have put into it. And, I can teach this one thing, and in the process, I've learned people that have found, it's probably not exaggerating to say dozens of ways to beat casinos.
And they all have their pros and cons. That's something that's interesting when I do some of these plays or hear about them. It's just, it's not like there's a one play that's like this magical. Well, maybe there is, but I mean, most of the time, like every play comes with its cons along with the benefits of it. So like hole carding, for example, like the edge is bigger, but the scouting time maybe 3-1 or 5-1 hour wise. So you see the hourly and you're like, wow, hole carding is like way better than card counting, because the hourly is like 4 times as much, but you're spending 3 to 5 times as many hours finding those games and, things like that. So they're all, every play has its benefits, advantages, disadvantages.
Yeah, I've talked to hole carders that go on a trip and they find nothing the whole trip, but it has its pros too. I mean, can you give a rough number of games you've beaten outside of traditional physical card blackjack card counting?
Maybe like 7 different avenues.
Yeah.
Or so if I had to just off the top of my head, yeah.
And the what you've made the most from is card counting. Is that true?
Yes, it's still like 90%. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there are other people that, the 90% might be something not card counting, but I don't know. Again, it's like the things that inspire me is hearing, these creative stories. I get to live vicariously through hearing some of this stuff, and the creativity, the thought. I wish I could tell some of the stories, but I can't. But I remember sitting around a group of APs analyzing something, and I just was able to sit and watch. And it was like, I can't believe they're figuring out a way to beat this thing. Like, and I probably literally couldn't believe that they were going to, and they did. Like of course, not all things work out. I've heard some fun stories of someone playing an opportunity and being down like $10,000 or $20,000 and being like, oh no, actually this isn't. There's no edge here. But also got to hear some really fun stories. All right, which brings us to the last thing that I wanted to share, which is that you don't need a team to beat blackjack or to be an AP, but you do need a network. Joe, how much team play have you done over the years?
Not very much, actually. Like where it's multiple people, we're all on the same table, or that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, not very much.
And how much of it has, like, even just have you been played? Your play has been while part of a team.
Yeah, I mean, only a handful of times.
Yeah,
I mean, the majority of it has been solo play or bankrolling other players, but that's not exactly team when it's separate, sort of still. So,
yeah, I'd say probably 99% of my play has been as part of a team, just because that's the path I ended up on. And when we started Blackjack Apprenticeship, I knew solo card counters. I knew you could do it, but there's always this question of like, well, do I need to be on a team? And I thought, no, you don't really need to. At this point, I'd say you really don't need to. Most people I know that are APs, most aren't on a team. But the one thing that I have learned that I really feel like I undervalued is that the successful APs do have a network. I don't know if you have anything to elaborate on there.
Yeah. And because, let's say like you don't have a network and you just try to go for it alone, I feel you're going to get burnt out emotionally by being alone and trying to tackle, this whole thing completely without anyone's help. It's just so important. There's just like little bits of information that are just so crucial to help you pull something off, or finding a location to go to that is, a really good opportunity, or where you're going to get a lot of mileage, or just even like when, AP things do get, someone has an idea to try to pull something off and they need some help or they need some extra hands, and then, getting called in to help out, or vice versa. Like you find something and, you do need some backup or some help. That's also another huge part of it too. Like some of these AP plays, it's like, you can't just pull it off with just one person. Like you need others. So.
Yeah. I mean, casinos have gotten smarter, but the people I know that are successful at advantage play, they've gotten smarter too. And it's in a similar way. The biggest way casinos have gotten smarter is their networks, right? Mm-hmm. But the way that I've seen APs get smarter is also their network, like knowing what casinos to avoid, knowing cash out limits, knowing which casinos subscribe to databases, things like that. Even just small things, just learning from other people. And I was thinking about, I was like, well, do you need a network? I'm sure there's some AP listening to this. It's like, I have zero network. So maybe need isn't the right word, but I was even thinking about like, well, I consulted with this guy and he crushed a game, and he didn't have any network at all. But I was like, actually, the reason he consulted with me is because he needed a network. Like, he actually needed to consult with someone that knew some things that he didn't. And if he hadn't consulted with me, his approach was suspect, is how I'll put it. But, I was able to help correct some things or give him the information or the advice he needed to pull it off. And so I was his network, and I just can't imagine if I were going to try to, do anything more than like some casual card counting at a local casino. If I were interested in anything more than that, I can't imagine doing it without having a support system, having other APs that I could talk to, learn from, exchange chips with, train with, any number of things. And I think that I've learned a lot from the BJ community by seeing, how people approach this, as opposed to the way that we did, which was kind of like just on our own.
Yeah.
I think our team was what kept us together, or it was maybe in a sense our network. But I've shared this before. One of my biggest regrets is not networking more, not in a selfish way, but in a mutually beneficial way. So that's really why, that's I think the value of our forum. That's why we built the chat room software, is to help with this, to help people in their region, find out what casino to not play, or any of the things that can find a training partner, any of those things.
Yeah, I would love to see, like, in the regional chat rooms, if you guys are okay with it, just doing a really simple like trip report of how your trip, like how many hours you got at this place or that place, like what the game was like, or something that could have been avoided that would be helpful for the next person. Like, that would be really great to share that information. Or even like, hey, I went to casino, A, and I got backed off, and then I went to casino B like an hour and a half away, and they backed me off up on site. So that, then the next person can avoid that hour and a half drive, or whatever. So just stuff like that's really helpful.
And if you're saying, well, I'm not comfortable, I don't know everybody in that chat room, at least figure out who the people are that you are comfortable sharing that with, and help each other out with that. Maybe it's a group of 3 people in a region that are going to share helpful info with each other, or 10 people or whatever. There's a BJ member that he's been a member for a number of years. I didn't even know he was counting cards again, because I think he took a break for a while. I don't want to say his name, but if he's listening, I know he knows I'm talking about him. But he reached out to me and asked me a question about a local casino, and I gave him the advice that I could. But I was like, dude, you got to join our region's chat room. And he did, and he just sent me a text last week that was like, oh, this is really great. Thanks for doing this. It's been helpful to him, which is cool to see. It's, we didn't design it for people that are brand new to card counting. We designed it for the people that are doing this to help each other out. So this isn't a pitch for the chat room, but it is a pitch. Join the chat room and your region's chat room, and, make more money or whatever it is. You have any other thoughts you want to share before we end this podcast?
Oh, man. No.
Do you have a favorite AP play in a casino that doesn't involve a casino game? Maybe it involves a video game.
Yeah, let me think on that one. Let's see here.
Maybe it involves a Wii.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. And I don't know how much of this was, my skill level, or it was just, but I had a Wii bowling tournament. And I guess, you know what? I guess I will own up to this strategy was being able to play the Wii bowling tournament at 10 a.m. with only against senior citizens, because that's the only people that were playing in the casino at that time. And I was able to win a bunch of free play because I beat everyone. And I just don't think they were used to the technology. So yeah, that's it. That is one way to beat the casinos as well.
And that's a way to get the advantage is know your competition.
Know your competition. Yeah. Know your competitor, and Yeah.
I remember talking to, I think this was JC Note when he was first starting and he's trying to build a bankroll, and he was saying, oh yeah, the local casino does every hour they give, like, I don't know, $100 or $200 to, they pick a random, seat number. And I was like, dude, find out the hours of the day the casino is the most empty. Bring your wife, bring a couple friends, bet table minimum, and increase your odds of hitting it. Just think like an AP. Doesn't just have to be at the blackjack table. So don't play Wii Bowling against Joe748. And if you're going to try to beat me with a Halloween costume, you better bring it. That's all I'm saying. Awesome. Well, thanks for listening, those that are still listening. And Joe748, thanks for talking through this stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And you can find out more about Blackjack Apprenticeship and our membership and all that stuff by visiting the website. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next podcast.
See ya.